think it's safe to say. It's been a while since I've reviewed a rather mediocre fanfiction. This story is not exactly good, but it's not exactly bad. It's just rather generic. Friendship at True Sight. The author is Charm King Diva. The fandom is Hallo aus Berlin. It's in the romance genre. Has over 3,000 words, so obviously I won't be reading this one aloud. 4 chapters. It was published back in January of 2021. And it's located on Archive of Your Own, which is a bit different than, fanfiction.net. Takes a little bit more getting used to, in my opinion, but... So yes, let's get started with a summary of this story. This story, I'm probably going to be going more into other things when it comes to it than the story itself, but I did write down pretty much what the summary is. So this story is very generic. It is very, very generic. It's about a teenage boy who befriends a girl, and he falls in love with her. That's pretty much it. So the first chapter is pretty much about how this boy, his name is Rollo, he meets a girl named Rita. And the first chapter is pretty much about them meeting and, them becoming friends. Like, they go and spend time together. Like, they go to the park, they go to, like, an amusement park and whatnot, and they spend time together. The second chapter involves Rollo realizing that he's in love with Rita. And it's all the generic, he woke up one night and felt butterflies in his stomach whenever he thought about her. And then he's horrified, like, oh no, I have fallen in love with Rita. Third chapter, a little bit more happens in this one. So in this chapter, Rollo decides to be sick. He's not really sick, but he decides to play hooky from school for 3 days because he's that afraid of talking to Rita about his feelings for her. Well, Rita decides to pay him a visit and to make sure that he's, doing fine. She's worried about him, obviously, because he's missed 3 days of school. And, he finally gets the guts to ask her what she thinks of him, and she says that she likes him, that she thinks he's awesome, and, they have a bit of a bonding moment. And then after she leaves, he feels a bit better about himself. So the final chapter is the all predictable, he decides to admit his feelings for her. And this goes about where, they're spending some time together, and school is over, and his parents are gone for a business trip for a couple of days, and they expect him to clean the house and whatnot. So he invites her over so she can, clean the house with him. And, she goes into his room and decides to be nosy and look at pictures that he drew of them together. I mean, at this rate, I think it's rather obvious that Rollo, I don't know if I'm saying it right, has feelings for Rita, but she's like, oh, these are cute, thinks nothing of it. So he admits his feelings for her, and she rejects him, saying, maybe when we're older we can be a couple, but, we can hold hands and stuff like that. And, I can maybe see if this was like, them being children, but I believe it's stated, I believe it's stated that he's 15 years old. 15? That's an old enough age to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, I would imagine. But I digress. He's upset at first, but then he accepts it. And, the story ends with, them just continuing their friendship, and that's the end of it. Again, it's a very, very, very generic story. So, we're going to go into the further issues I had with this story, aside from the genericness. First, take a look at this screenshot here. What is with this sentence? It is lazy. And why is it in parentheses? Don't do that. And then I came across this while I was reading it. I mean, take a gander. Why is there a trademark symbol? Why is there a trademark symbol? Why is that there? And then came across a sentence that was like absolute atrocious spelling and grammar. I mean, just take a look at this. There's absolutely no punctuation. And apparently the author just keeps inserting their thoughts throughout the story, which gets rather annoying after a while. And you know how I mentioned that there was like this weird trademark symbol earlier? Well, here's another weird symbol. I don't even know what it is. I can't make out what it's supposed to be. It's like, why is that there? It's like, author, stop it. Get rid of these symbols from your story. Get rid of your thoughts. Get rid of the parentheses with your thoughts in it. Just get rid of it. It's obnoxious. And if you thought the weird symbols were annoying, this story has emotes. Emotes. Not only does it have emotes, it also has a failed emote as well. It's just annoying. It's annoying. And then a little bit later on, the author pretty much confirms that they're the narrator, and that's why their thoughts keep showing up. It's like, how about establish at the beginning of the story that there's a narrator? Establish that from the get-go. I mean, Meg's recent Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z fanfiction has an established narrator. This doesn't. It's just random thoughts inserted by the author, and the author's like, oh, by the way, I'm the narrator. It's bloody stupid. Overall, there are various grammatical errors and typos scattered throughout the story that makes it rather painful to read. It's not the most painful thing I've ever read, but it is still rather annoying to say the least. I would say my overall thoughts of the story was that it was just, like I said, annoying to read, especially with the inserted narrator bits. Get rid of those. The story was very mediocre. I mean, it was generic and mediocre. It's a typical love story between two teenagers. And I would not recommend this story. Honestly wouldn't. I mean, I don't know if this author has written other stuff. I mean, we might as well take a gander. See if it'll let me click on their name. Drum King Diva. Yes, they've only written 2 stories. This story and In the Digital World. What fandom is that supposed to be in? Lazy Town. Neither of these fandoms I've ever heard of, if I'm to be completely honest. But yes, wouldn't recommend this story. It was mediocre. Mediocre. Can't really say much else about it. It's not the worst thing I've read. But it wasn't that thrilling to read either. At least it was short. Well, thank you all for watching today's episode. If you liked it, please be sure to leave a like and leave a comment. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I would greatly appreciate it. I'll see you on the next episode. Until then, cheerio.